friends, good evening, and thank you so much for joining our webinar today on MS Teams development. So this is going to be a series of sessions, and this is the very first session of this series. So before we get started with some basic housekeeping points, so please keep yourself muted throughout the course of the session. And when it comes to questions, of course, questions are great. So we would like to take questions towards the end of the session because today we have a lot to discuss. And maybe during the course of the session, if you have any questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. All right, so from this meetup group, there is a lot of webinars that we are doing. So if at all you're interested in being a part of this meetup group and learning more, so that is the link for you to go ahead and click and join. And this session today is being recorded, and after today's presentation, we'll be sharing the link as well as the slide deck with you. All right. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Arvind. So Arvind is the person who's going to be taking the session today. So he's new to Microsoft. First of all, welcome to Microsoft, Arvind. And so he's part of the team's engineering team. So today we just invited him for this session so that he can give you a complete overview of all the features and capabilities that we have in MS Teams for development. So with that, I'm not going to take too much of your time. Over to you, Arvind.
Sure. Thanks, Vignesh. Hello, everyone. My name is Arvind. I work as a senior product manager in Microsoft Teams Engineering. Today, what I would want to cover is basically talk about Microsoft Teams as a platform and how partners and customers could build solutions or basically apps on top of the Teams ecosystem and then help your customers and your users take advantage of Teams platform, which has grown significantly in the last 6 to 7 years, and thanks to, of course, COVID-19 pandemic, we see a lot of remote working, and we wanted to make sure that partners are able to understand the platform and take advantage of it, given the remote working scenarios. So for today, right, so I'll talk about Teams as an overview and why you should consider Teams as a platform for your solution, or why you should consider building an app on Teams. And then I'll also take you through some scenarios, use cases, and real world examples as well, to give you a better idea of how what are the possibilities and how others who have already used the platform for delivering their solutions. So let's get started, right? So like Microsoft Teams was built ground up as a platform. So that's a very good thing, because it's not just about Teams, or it's not about just chats and online meetings. It's much more than that. It's where the work gets done. So it becomes a hub for teamwork. That's where the partners and other enterprises come in to build on top of the Teams platform, making it extensible. But though third-party partners and enterprises would build on like Microsoft Teams platform, the Microsoft Office 365 applications are already available as apps on top of the Teams platform, as an inspiration for the other partners to build on top of the Teams as a platform. That is a saying that an engineering leader that I worked with used to say. He used to say that, like, don't take the people to the work, rather bring the work to the people. It is a very powerful saying, I will say, because it applies both in a physical and an online world as we are today. Rather than taking the users where they should work, you should bring the work where they are. That's what the guiding principle of Teams as a platform is. When I say that, right, let's talk about an example. Let's say there is a sales engineer who's coming to you and asking, like, what's the status of a specific enhancement request. You have to go through multiple systems. For example, you have to go to Salesforce to understand what that opportunity is and understand what that enhancement is. And you have to go to an engineering application like Jira to understand what is the engineering status. And then you have to go back to Outlook or Teams in order to reply back to that specific query. So you have to juggle between these contexts in order to get one simple job done, which was just a status. Consider an enterprise which has, on an average, 15 applications that the enterprise user uses. And then in order to get work done, they have to juggle between these 15 different applications or 15 different tabs in a Google Chrome in order to get a simple work done. So that's what we are solving for, and that's what Microsoft Teams as a platform is. So currently, Microsoft Teams has gone through a phenomenal growth. Like, we have 75 million daily active users, not just on using the online meeting functionality or workload of Teams, but also the ecosystem, the apps that are available on Microsoft Teams as a platform. We have around 500,000 tenants, that is equal to 500,000 organizations who are already on Teams. And there are more than 650 organizations with 10,000 active users. So that's a sizable user base that you could tap into by building solutions on top of Teams, because that's where people are there, given the virtual uh, working environment that we are currently in. This is the right time to get everybody's solution on Teams so that they could get one more channel for the adoption of their services or solutions. So if you look at the kind of applications that are being built on top of Teams, of course, we have all of the Office 365 applications already available. There are ISV partners like Poly, Adobe, Jira building on top of the Teams platform to take advantage of the platform, the capabilities, and bring their services to the people on the platform. And there is a third kind of apps that get built. It's basically a line of business application which is very specific to an organization, homegrown applications built for their own users within our organization. So these are three kind of applications that are getting built on top of Teams platform. So as of today, we have more than 450 external applications now available on the Teams global app store, with more than a million active users coming through these external applications. And as I said, like, these applications are from various individual software vendors who may be vertical specific, like finance, healthcare, or manufacturing, or they could be horizontal players like service desk, project management, or marketing. So we have seen a lot of apps in each of these categories, and the ecosystem is growing. So before we begin, right, I wanted to make sure that we clearly understand what Teams as a platform is, and let's make sure that some myths are cleared. Uh, so app on Microsoft Teams is not just bots, right? It's much more than that. It gives you various surface areas to build an immersive experience for your users when they use your app or consume your services through the Teams platform. So it's not just bots. And when you build app on Teams, the app is not hosted by Teams platform. In fact, you own the app completely, and it is hosted on your own infrastructure. Teams just provides you that surface area to consume for your users to consume your services. And the platform is not intelligent in itself. All the intelligence has to be built within the application uh, itself. So, for example, like, it cannot intelligently send a leave request to your manager. Like, that logic, the business logic of your app has to be within that. And if you want to build an app that is completely boxed and on-prem, like, that cannot happen, right? Because Microsoft Teams is a SaaS application, and you are going to build an app on top of a SaaS application, of course. Hence, it needs internet and a secure HTTPS endpoint. So you cannot build on-prem or HTTP like web apps on Teams as a platform. So let's consider what makes Teams as your choice from our perspective, and from what we have heard from other partners as well, is that given the reach of Teams and the potential growth that we're going to have in the coming years, having a solution on Teams platform is essential because it gives your users effortless discovery with inside Teams as a platform where the users are going to be like more than 6 to 8 hours in a day. And you would be able to choose the audience when you publish your app through the public app store for Teams. You'd be able to publish to your organization or to the entire world through our app catalog systems. And when you build your applications for collaboration scenarios, right, conversation is the key thing in your solution. And that comes automatically because your app will have conversations and you need not build it yourself. Teams will already provide that as a platform. And the capabilities that it provides, we have around 10 plus capabilities. I'll take them through in the due course of this session. And we're continuously enhancing and experimenting and building new innovations on top of it. So you're going to take advantage of a rich app platform, easy to build. You can take your solutions to market in less than a month. And of course, not going to build these app for desktop, web, or mobile. You just build it once, and Teams takes the responsibility of making sure your app can run not just on Teams desktop application, but also within Teams mobile applications as well. Just to re-emphasize on the cross-platform presence, Teams is now available on desktop, mobile browsers, as well as on like Android and as well as on Mac OS. So let's dive a little deeper, right? Let's say you decide to build a solution on top of Teams. The first thing that you have to consider is what is the problem that we're trying to solve for. Given that Teams is a collaboration platform, you should start considering use cases in your solution which require collaboration predominantly. And you should also consider how often this will be used. For example, is the user better off using your solution from a web browser, or is better off consuming your services from within Teams platform? Will Teams as a platform act as a catalyst for your solution in order to improve your usage of services by your users? And of course, the last thing that you should consider is the return on investment that you would have because of the app on the Teams platform. So consider Teams as your channel strategy. Earlier, it used to be in late 2000, there used to be a strategy called mobile first when solutions were built on mobile and then on desktop or on web. Consider this as your channel strategy. You could build it on Teams first and then could consider building on a web or a mobile or a desktop. So that's the kind of ROI I am referring to. So once you've considered or made the decision to build on Teams platform, like this platform allows you multiple capabilities or surface areas that you could tap into in order to surface your solution or your data to your users through Teams platform. So I'll give a brief of each of these features, and then through the use cases, I will explain you how these features work. First one, a little brief of every feature. First, tabs. Tabs is the biggest canvas within Teams platform where you could build a web application or an iframeable content within a Teams channel or use it as a personal app. Bots, of course, it's a conversational type one-on-one conversation that you could build for between the users and your service. And message extensions is nothing but searching for your information or searching for information within your service without losing the context. For example, somebody asks you, what is the status of a specific engineering ticket? You need not switch between Teams conversation that you're already having with a person, go to a web browser and check the status. You could do that right from within the conversation itself and share that information right from within the conversation. That is what is called message extensions. And of course, APIs, graph APIs help you build that intelligence through the APIs that we provide you, not just for Teams, but Microsoft Office 365 as a platform itself. You could use all of the Office 365 apps and integrate within your solution as well. And the next one is message actions. This is really powerful, right? So when you're having conversation with your users, with your collaborators, all the context is in the conversation that you have. Now that you want to take that context and then store it or create a opportunity or a sales ticket or an engineering ticket out of it, like message actions allows you to do that. Take the context and then transfer it to a system where you record all of your data. Task modules is nothing but consider a form where you could ask users to fill detailed information, which is not more like a conversation, but more like a form. That's what task modules is used for. And of course, notifications. So using bots, you could build intelligent notifications and notify not just individual users, but also channels where multiple members of your teams are available. So you're going to get notifications. You're going to broadcast notifications to multiple members and to multiple channels, of course. And of course, there is going to be a personal space where your users can interact with your service one-on-one, where you don't have a collaboration use case, but you want to have all of these contexts that are in multiple channels to be seen in one place. That's where personal apps come in. So I'll take you through examples and show you how each of these features help you in building enriching solution. And of course, you can publish the app on the Teams App Store if you want to have. If you're an ISV, you can publish it on the global App Store. But if you're an enterprise, you're building a line of business application just for your users, you could just publish it only on your tenant. And of course, you could publish it to a very specific team only and not to the entire users of your enterprise. So there are various ways that you could publish your app, depending upon like what the solution that you have. So I'll talk about a few ideas and introduce you to those features that we previously spoke about. Let's start with tabs, right? So if you see in this specific screen, I am within a Teams called Northwind Traders, and my channel is called Development. And I see a tab called Contasso, which is nothing but a tab that is now available because of the app that is installed through the Teams platform. So once a user installs this app, he's able to add that tab onto the channels and then give access to all of their members within that channel to this very specific content. And this is a web application, right? So this is the largest surface area that Microsoft Teams provide, where you could build a unique experience, an iframeable content that you could build for the users of this specific app. So it's not just a static content, right? It could be any reports. It could be a Jira dashboard, Trello dashboard, where you could update status, move things around. That's what this space is predominantly used for within channels. And of course, if it's a static content and you want to have conversation about this content, you could still do so within the context of that very specific channel. And then, of course, when you start having a conversation within a tab, it gets notified in your post, which is in the conversation space as well, so that other members who are not part of this conversation can also see that, okay, there was a conversation that happened about the specific dashboard. So that is about tabs, right? Like now I'll talk about like message extensions. So I was talking about a specific engineering ticket where you have to search for it and then come back to Microsoft Teams to post it. Like that's what message extensions is. So you could find message extensions by clicking on the three dots below the compose box. And then once you click on your app, you would be able to find the information within the app. For example, let's say I open Jira and then I click on the message extensions and open the Jira app. It'll list me all of the tickets, which is bugs, epics, stories, and I'll be able to click on it and post it directly on the channel. So when I post that ticket, you see that it is in a form of a card. We call that as adaptive cards. We call it adaptive because there are micro actions that the members of the channel can click on and directly make changes on that specific data. So you're not taking the user from the teams to a website or a web page. You're able to make actions right from within the card itself. So in this case, I was able to search for a very specific item called low stock items, and I'm able to post it. And there are two actions, which is called view details or chat with the manager. So you'd be able to view details and chat with the manager right in the context of that specific conversation. And you'll be, of course, be able to share with your team when you post it. It's available for all of the members within that specific channel. And you see the experience, though the app was just built once, it is the experience that you get is responsive both on desktop as well as on mobile. So you build it once, and you're able to cater to your desktop users as well as to your mobile users. Another example, right? Let's say this is a social media management application, and there are a bunch of social media managers who want to manage their content, but it has to go through a specific approval, right? So I'm within this Contour app, which is a social media management application. I want to post a specific tweet, and I'm going to draft it, and I'm going to submit it for approval. So it goes through a workflow where it notifies the right person within the channel, and then he can then approve it so that your tweet is now available on your social handle. So not just content consumption or interaction over content can happen. You could also build workflows within your app, like approval workflows, and notify the right persons about a workflow or an approval. And then you could do it again, both on desktop as well as on mobile. So let's go back to the tab concept, right? So uh, I'm back on the Contasso tab within the channel called development under the team called Northwind Traders. So as I said, it's not a static content that you could display on the tab. It could just be a dashboard like this. It's a project management dashboard where you could move the cards and also add tasks right from within your content. But the question here is that, so let's say a user is part of multiple teams and multiple channels, and the same dashboard is available on both these teams or both these channels, but in a different context. So in this case, right, so I'm in a channel called development where there is a specific board, and I'm also part of a channel called marketing, and there are specific tasks that are assigned to me. And now you want to see all of the tasks that are assigned to me in a single specific window. How do you do that? That's when the personal space, personal app plays a role. So you go to the Contasso app, which is your personal space, and click on My Task. It shows you all of the tasks from all of the channels in one place. So it becomes your personal space, not your collaboration space, where you could see all of the content that is spread across various channels that are tagged to you in one single space. So that's what personal scope is about. Let's take another example, right? So in this case, I'll talk about our command bar or the universal search bar. You want to look up to a place to eat, and you have an app called Places. All that you could do in order to find a place is go to the command bar on the top of the screen, where you could just mention the app name, which is in this case is Places, and start searching or start typing your text in the context of that very specific app. Here I just said at Places. I'm searching for Seattle restaurants, and then I'm able to see all of the restaurants in Seattle, and I'm able to post that into the conversation. So I didn't switch to an app called Places, found a restaurant and pasted the link here. I'm doing all that within the same context. So the next example is message extension, right? That's the one that I was talking about, where all of the context is in the conversation, and you want to create an opportunity or a ticket, or you want to transfer that context to a different system. So in this case, that is a lot of context about a sales opportunity, and the user wants to convert that to a sales opportunity ticket. Let's say in a system like Salesforce, he could click on the conversation by clicking the three dots, go to more actions, and then there appears the context of Contasso. You could click on the Contasso app menu, which says add to notes. And then it adds this conversation and the context to the notes. It could even create a Salesforce ticket on the Salesforce system about this and add this context onto that ticket. So in all these cases, we spoke about consuming information, or like posting information, or collaborating with people about information from your own systems. But what if you're looking at a dashboard, which is a very specific sales opportunity, and where a team of members is working on? That's where the graph APIs help. So looking at the dashboard, you could just click on the dashboard and say create team, and then you could add all of your team members and all some files and SharePoint portal as well through our Teams template. And you're able to create a Teams in the fly in the context of that specific opportunity with all of the relevant content already there. So the users, when they join into a new team or new channel, they have the context of what this channel is about. You need not explain them this channel is created for so and so reason. All that is already done. It just click in a matter of clicks. As I said, like once you have created a channel, you could create a template which says welcome, and this is the context of this channel, and then you could start collaborating. And this is all possible through the Graph APIs. So I'm sure you must have understood now, like app on Teams is much more than bots, and how powerful that is, like for a solution to be built on Teams platform. So what I'll do now is take you through some real examples of apps that are published on the Microsoft Teams Global App Store. I'll take the example of Zoho because they have more than 5 apps on the Teams App Store, and they've been very actively working on Teams as their channel strategy or their collaboration strategy. So let's talk about bots, right? So first thing, so I have a team called Zoho Apps, and I have all my site reliability engineers added to a channel called Site 24/7. And my app notifies a Zoho app, which is nothing but a Zoho bot, notifies members of this channel whenever a web service or a web app of theirs goes down. And it gives them relevant information about it. So that is what bots is about. More than a conversational query, it could also create notifications where you could notify specific users, specific channels, or specific teams. And when the notification comes in, right, like just information is not fine. You want to act upon those information as well. That's where the rich cards, what we call as the adaptive cards, comes into play. You could design the app to take advantage of adaptive cards where you could build these micro actions. You could build up to 6 micro actions in each card. From what I've seen, nobody has built like 6 actions because cards are very context sensitive, and like not more than 2 or 3 actions or call for actions is required on a specific information. So in this case, right, like some website went down and the ticket has been assigned to a very specific person. This person could just click on the status or add notes to this very specific ticket and then save it. So he's doing all that in the context of that notification, where the members are also kept updated that this ticket has been taken care of, this ticket has been moved to the next stage of the cycle, so on and so forth. Coming back to the personal app, right? So using personal app, you could also build your custom dashboard, and then you could share that dashboard with your channel members by making that dashboard as a tab within a channel. So in this case, I built my own cloud dashboard, and I'm going to add that dashboard into a channel. So that's my custom dashboard that I've created, and I feel that every member should be able to use this. So I've added that as a tab in the channel where I am part of. And as I said, like these tabs are not just static content where you which could be displayed. It could be your entire dashboard where you could like create content, modify content. In this case, I'm trying to create a ticket or like attend to a support case. I'm able to fill details of the support case through the tab that is pinned in the channel. And then I'm also able to search for those support tickets from within the tab. So you see that I'm not switching between my conversation that I'm having with my channel members to my Zoho project's web application. I'm able to do all of that from within my channel conversation itself without losing the context. That's what, as I said, is the guiding principle of Teams platform. So you could take advantage of course, Office 365 applications. In this case, Zoho has their own document viewer. They're able to bring that and also do signatures using the Zoho Sign app from within the tab itself. For example, let's say somebody posts you the document, and you're able to use the Zoho Sign tab and automatically sign the document from within the channel without losing the context. So this is a Zoho Sign, and in this case, this is the personal app of Zoho Sign. And once a user goes into his personal space, or what we call as a personal scope, he's able to see all of the documents that he has requested signature for across various channels. And of course, Zoho projects have, it's a project management tool, of course. So they've also used message extensions, where as a user, when I click on the message extension and click on Zoho projects, I'm able to see all of the projects that I am able to search for. And then I'm able to post that's very specific ticket, right, or a feature as an adaptive card on the channel. And then if the user wants to go to Zoho projects to get a detailed view, they've created a micro action, which then redirects the user to a web application to view the details of that very specific ticket. And in the dashboard, again, you could use, so we spoke about tabs and the conversations around tab. That is possible. You could also add the message extensions in your tabbed conversations. So this is a tab that was created, and there is a conversation that is going on, and somebody wants to take a sales opportunity and wants to post it here, because this is about a lead generation dashboard, and they're able to search for that using message extensions within Zoho CRM, and able to post that opportunity as an adaptive card in the tab conversation. As you could see, multiple adaptive cards have been posted within the conversation. And you could not just to query and post or like send the content to a member of the channel. You could also use this message extensions to make announcement, right? Let's say if there is a new feature that was released, you could post the corresponding epic stories from various dashboards, and you could make an announcement as well, which can then be an adaptive card. So people can go read about the epic or story, and then understand the context of that announcement. So I'll also talk about one more app to give you how intelligence can be built on top of the platform. The app is called QBot, which is in the education space, which is basically for students and faculty members to collaborate or work on a virtual environment through Teams. That's what QBot is about. And QBot can answer queries to students from a knowledge base, and it could also invite their faculties to a very specific channel when there is a very specific question asked in a specific subject. So I'll take you through an example. So here is a channel, or there are multiple teams created on the left side. As you can see, there is chemistry, physics, and algebra, and each channel is created as topics here, and various members are part of it, and each channel represents a very specific topic. So there are, of course, administrators who are tutors or demonstrators, and there are members who are basically students. All that the administrator or the tutor or the demonstrator has to do is to add the app onto the team. So I've added the app onto the team. So it is available across all of the channel within that very specific team. So the app is called Question. You could see on the right side. Last but one, the app is called Question. So what happens is that if a student wants to ask a question, all that he or she has to do is mention the app name, which is Question, and then ask the question. So what the app would do is that, depending upon the question, it will automatically tag the right tutor or the demonstrator. Depending upon the context of the team and the channel, the app is designed in a way that it will understand it and tag the right demonstrator. So once a question is asked, of course, there are students who would start answering that uh, or posting their opinions about a very specific question. That's when the demonstrator could come in and say which is the answer that is correct, right? Rather than the demonstrator or the tutor giving the answer himself, he or she could pick the right answer that was posted by the other students. And then QBot actually says this was answered by Rosie, and this answer was verified by the tutor called Deborah. And now it goes into their knowledge base. And if a similar question was asked, the question app will automatically post this as the solution. So as I said, like the question app, which is the QBot apps, will starts building this knowledge base as and when questions gets asked and an answer gets posted or marked as answered by the tutor. That's how this QBot is building the knowledge base, making sure that the students are able to get answers quickly and need not wait for a tutor or a demonstrator to answer a very specific question. Let's say the QBot suggests there is a question that was asked, and QBot suggests an answer, but the student is not satisfied with the answer, or he or she wants more information about it. The QBot then posts or adds the adaptive card with two actions, which is called tags teaching staff. And once clicked on it, the teaching staff is tagged here. It could be one or multiple tutors, and the tutors are notified about this very specific question, and now they're able to answer that question. And of course, they can go back and update that knowledge base as well with the right answer or with more detailed answer for that very specific question. And this is how powerful the app could be. The app is building a knowledge base for the user, which is like a quick refresh for question Q&A kind of a knowledge base that is being built, and there is also interactions on the question that is happening. So we as a student, right, I'll be really overwhelmed because I'm part of multiple channels and there are multiple topics that we are discussing about, and there are multiple questions being asked. What if I want to see what are the questions asked and what are the answers for each of those questions? I would not be able to go into each and every channel and search through the conversation, the questions, and the answers, right? So what the QBot intelligently does is that every time a question is asked, it created a question tab on the top. As you can see on the top, topic 3 vectors, there is a new tab called question that gets added. Now, if I want to see all of the questions that were asked in a very specific channel in the topic called vectors, as a student, I'm able to see all the questions and the answers within this very specific channel. Okay, I'm able to do this on a very specific topic, but what if I am part of multiple teams and multiple channels, right? So how do I don't want to go through each and every channel, click on the tab and understand the answer. So that's where the personal app comes in. So QBot personal app, the user can click on the 3 dots on the left side and then open the question app from the list of apps that gets shown. So once the user clicks on the question app, he or she can see all of the questions that are in the teams called Physics 101. Physics 101 had more than 10 channels, and going through each of the channels and the question tab would be tedious. So this personal app was built in a way that it is able to collect all of the questions in one single page and becomes a Q&A refresher for any student who wants to go through all of the questions and answers. They could also see what are the unanswered questions and figure out and wait for answer the question or wait until the question has been answered. So that was the view of a student, right? Like how would the view of a tutor or a demonstrator look like? So let's say I'm the tutor logging in and I go to the question app and able to see all of the questions that were answered. So as a teacher as well, right? I cannot go into each and every conversation, scroll up and down to see what are the questions that are answered, not answered, and then take action, right? I'm able to do that from a single dashboard through the personal app or the personal space. And I can click any conversation, answer the questions, and just close the question then and there. I can also add new content, create new channels, add new users, and then also start new tutorials on very specific topics using Graph APIs. The app uses Graph APIs to create teams, to create channels automatically from this dashboard. So once a new tutorial is clicked by the administrator, the Graph API is used to create a new channel called Physics 101 or a new teams called Physics 101. And in case of a tutor, there are very specific students that are assigned under a very specific demonstrator. So the administrator or the tutor is now able to go and see what are the answers by the students that very specific tutor manages. And of course, all of this works on mobile as well. It was just built once with a responsive design, and it works both on the desktop client as well as on the Microsoft Teams mobile client. And of course, it uses Graph APIs, Azure's AI capabilities that was used to build the QBot, and it also uses the NLP SDK of Microsoft Teams in order to understand each and every questions and give the relevant answer. So that's a very good example in the education space how powerful QBot is when students and teachers are connecting virtually or during after school hours, how they can connect and interact with the students. And this is a very good example. So I'll shift gears now. So far I've spoke about like ISV partners who built apps on top of Teams platform. Now I'll talk about some of the app templates. That are created by Teams engineering itself. So what is an app template? So app template is a plug and play experience. We built custom applications or custom templates that could be deployed in one click without you writing any code, and could be deployed within your enterprises or organizations. It's just really a low code, no code deployment. So it doesn't need an IT department to get involved. It could be once the app is deployed by the IT department, anybody who manages the teams and channels can then configure the templates. So I'll take you through a few of the examples of app templates which we use within Microsoft. Also, some of the customers use these templates. So I'll give you a few examples of the same. Icebreaker is an app template which connects relevant people and then tries to connect relevant people to have a conversation. This is really useful when there are new employees or new team members joining, because they don't know who are the right persons within the team to connect with. The icebreaker then connects them with their peers, their mentors, and then starts a conversation so that you could set up a meeting or have a conversation with them within teams as per private chats. So it's a modern employee engagement tool. This is used within Microsoft globally. And we have seen really good engagement with this kind of app templates, with more than 1,000 engagements happening every day using this app template. Other one is a cool, practical app template. So I have multiple Excel sheets that are there on SharePoint, which has multiple sales opportunities and customer details. I want to search and post a very specific opportunity on the channel. So I cannot go to the Excel sheet and then search for that opportunity or search for that specific customer name. The app template just works like another app. It could be used as a tab bot, or it could be used as a personal app as well. So in this case, I want to search from a list. I'm going to choose the file. And once the file is chosen, I'm able to see all of the fields, and I'm able to post that information as adaptive cards in the conversation that I'm having within the channel. So this is a really a useful, pragmatic feature, I will say, because uh, switching between multiple Excel sheets would be, and searching in Excel sheets is a tedious task. And this app templates really helps search for your content that could be anywhere. It could be in SharePoint, it could be in any of your cloud enterprise storage. You're able to do that through this app template. And the next one that I wanted to talk about was Company Communicator. This is a tool that is used by executives or department heads when they want to broadcast information to their teams. Let's say there is an information about, say, a new feature that is now available for everybody in Teams, or there is a new org-wide announcement about a new person joining or a new executive joining. Company Communicator helps you post or broadcast that information to various channels, various teams, and multiple users in just one click. You could also do targeted like communication. For example, you could say just notify finance, marketing, and it will automatically find all of the members and give a one-on-one message. Or it could also post in the relevant channels where finance, marketing members are there. And the next app template is example is FAQ Plus. This is really useful if you have new processes that are being implemented within your organization. Let's say there is a change in the expense reimbursement policy. You could use the FAQ Plus template, provide it with the content on the expense policy, and users can use this app template as a conversational style bot where they could ask questions like, what is the change in the expense policy? What was the old policy? Am I eligible to the changes that just happened on the expense policy? So on and so forth. So app template is powered by the content that you provide the app template with. So it could again be completely customizable with the data that you provide the app template with. Uh, of course, I want to talk about Appy. Appy is a Teams engineering built personal app. It is predominantly a bot where it could notify you of different uh, Microsoft Teams feature or how to use multiple features or a specific feature within Microsoft Teams. Appy helps you do that. Of course, Appy is available for on the App Store as well, where you could read about uh, Microsoft Teams and the new announcement that is happening on Microsoft Teams. So that's pretty much I had on the use cases. I just wanted to quickly summarize on some of the concepts that we spoke about. So first thing is tabs, right? So I'm within a channel, you can click the plus icon, add your app as a tab, and then have any content surface within the tab, be a static content or an application which where you could move cards, interact with, post updates, retrieve updates, so on and so forth. And of course, you could have conversations within these tabs, which are directly posted within your channel conversations as well, so that everybody understand the context of what the discussion was. And bots, again, one-on-one conversations that you could have with your app, or you could bring the bot within a channel to have to query on very specific information from your service. So as you query for information, it gives you a list view. You could from where you could choose a very specific item, click on micro actions, and go to the web app or go to the tab in order to do additional functions. The one thing that we did not feature it as a feature is the activity feed. So we spoke about notifications that your app you could build within your app to notify users or channels. When an app notifies you, it comes under your feed, under the activity tab on the top left corner. When a task is completed, in this case, the Contasso app has notified the user a specific task has been marked as complete. Clicking on it, it will show you who was the person who marked it complete because you are watching that very specific task. And the cards that we spoke about are, we call it adaptive cards, where you could build rich content and micro actions within the card so that people can take those micro actions within the context of the conversation. Message extensions quickly again. So within the compose box, you have all of the apps listed. You could click on the app, you can click on the three dots and click your app and search for content from within your service and post it within the channel as an adaptive card. Command box is the universal search box where you could mention your app and start searching for content from within your service. Of course, once you find the relevant content, you could also post it on the channel in the context of that very specific conversation. Message actions is nothing but converting those conversations or transferring the context from the conversation to your own application or service, so that anybody who reads that specific data from your service understand the context of why it was created and what that is about. Personal app, you could have any personal app added. You could use the personal app as one-on-one conversation with your service, or you could use personal app to aggregate all of the conversation that are happening in multiple channels to see in one view. And of course, all of these functionalities that we spoke about, starting with tabs, message extensions, message actions, graph APIs, uh, task modules, everything is available on both desktop and mobile, and it is on parity in terms of features. So when you're developing app, you need not worry about feature parity. It will always be available on both desktop and mobile simultaneously. And currently, the Teams Graph APIs are basically to create teams, groups, add members, add apps to a specific teams or channels. Those are the APIs that are available at this point of time. But you're continuously evolving the number of APIs that are available. This is very, very specific to Teams, the Graph APIs are. You also have great Graph APIs that could work with Office 365. You could use a combination of both Teams and Office Graph APIs to build to use within your app. And that's pretty much the content that I had that I wanted to showcase. Uh, I deliberately did not discuss about Power Apps and Power Automate because that is going to be covered in the upcoming sessions. I wanted to give you an overview of the Teams platform. The best place to start exploring how to build an app on top of Teams platform is to just search for Teams developer documentation, and that will take you to the place where it explains all of the features that are available within Teams as a platform and helps you build your first app on Teams as a platform. So with that, I will now open up for questions. I hope that this was useful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arvind. So, folks, so now is the time for questions. So, if at all you have any questions which you want to put in the chat, you could do that. Or if you want to unmute yourself and ask the questions, feel free to do that as well.
Hi, this is Anshuman here. I have a question.